Good Sunday morning and welcome to Inside Tennessee. I'm one of your moderators, John Becker, and before we get to our guests, I want to orient you with one of the districts we're talking about in our election coverage leading up to November 8th. This is Knox County. Our focus this morning is on District 18. You see, this is the Tennessee River. It's a big chunk of the south side of Knox County, and then it rolls right into Sequoia Hills and parts of West Knox County. Take a look at that as we set up the conversation this morning with a Democrat and Republican. Along my side is co-moderator John North, a colleague here at Channel 10. With us this morning, Democrat Greg Kaplan and Republican Elaine Davis. We are pleased to have both of you with us. The reason this is an open seat is because Eddie Manis, who currently holds it, decided he is not going to run for re-election. So, Elaine, let's start with you. It's been held by a Republican for quite some time. Tell us why you're running and why you think you're the best candidate.
Well, thank you, John. Thank you for having me this morning. I appreciate it. I started my race in February. I filed out my petition because I felt like it was important that we had someone that was representing our district and representing our values. For me, I am definitely supportive of a lot of our East Tennessee values, and I wanted to make sure that we have someone that's there in the state legislature that is voting those values.
Thank you, Elaine. You go ahead.
No, I just wanted to let you know that I have been involved in the Republican Party for over 14 years now. I got involved because I have a son who has type 1 diabetes, and when he was diagnosed at age 1, when he got to be about school age, I was concerned about how he was going to be taken care of at school. And so I wanted to make sure that he was safe at school. And so through those efforts of advocating for him, it got me involved in the political process. And I realized how important it is to make sure that we have people that we elect that are there to help resolve issues for our families.
Mr. Kaplan, your reason for running.
Well, thank you very much, John and John, for having me on today. I'm running to fight against extremism. You know, that's the first thing I thought of when I got into this race. I've been a professor of Spanish at UT for almost 3 decades. I'm married to a professor of Spanish for 23 years and a proud parent of a 2022 West High School graduate. And, you know, I got into the race to fight against all the anti-education extremist legislation on book banning, on divisive concepts. And, you know, I have a long history of involvement with the community. You know, my years as a Knox Youth Sports baseball coach, and then a West High School parent chess coach for the West High chess team. And then, you know, my years on the Knoxville Jewish Alliance and the Community Relations Council, as well as a liaison between UT and the Centro Hispano. So I have a lot of leadership experience. I have a motivation to run, and I'm standing up right now, and I have a lot of bipartisan support. That supports my more moderate approach, and that's why I'm running.
Candidates, there's a lot we want to talk to you about in this 30 minutes, but I want to start with one of the big issues. It's been the talk all summer. It remains the talk, and that is following the United States Supreme Court decision throwing out Roe v. Wade and leaving it up to the state of Tennessee and other states in terms of what their laws say. We now have the so-called Tennessee trigger law, which really leaves no wiggle room for things like rape, incest, or if the life of the mother is threatened. There is a defense if a provider gets charged. So what I'm curious about is, if you are to get elected come January, what do you do about it? Will you support changing the law to create greater exceptions, or perhaps maybe in your case, Mr. Kaplan, and we'll start with you, you would reassert the right to begin with. But let's start with you and see what you would do in terms of Tennessee and access to reproductive rights for women.
I would fight to repeal the complete ban on abortions in Tennessee with no exceptions, even in the case of the life of the mother. I would fight to repeal that law, or at least modify it to include all those exceptions. I think this is a very pivotal moment. I think that women want their physicians to be able to give them the best medical advice possible. And I also think that victims in rape, of rape and incest shouldn't be forced to carry the children of their abusers. And, you know, I think that government shouldn't impose its will upon women. So, yes, I will fight to repeal that law.
Ms. Davis, let's hear from you, your thoughts on this. I know we've talked to you before about it earlier, I think in late July.
Yes, and I appreciate that. For me, I think what's important is that we are following the law. The law does allow for the life of the mother. That is included in the Human Life Protection Act. And even Lieutenant Governor Randy McNally stated that. He said that treatment is necessary to ensure the life and the health of pregnant women and is protected by the affirmative defense exception and always has been. It says doctors are protected while performing medically necessary or life-saving care to women under the law. And that's what it states, and that's what's important. So we need to make sure that myth that women that are having any sort of life-threatening concerns, that doctors can treat those ladies. I think that's important to make sure that that's clear. For me, while tragedy of rape and incest, those are horrible situations. If there's a heartbeat, that's a life. And we need to make sure that we're bringing counseling to those ladies, to those women. And if there is any sort of situation that calls for that they become pregnant from that unfortunate circumstances, that we definitely are giving them all of the care and treatment that they need in order to make sure that they are provided for. For me, I think that having an abortion doesn't ameliorate the tragedy of rape or incest. It only could compound that. And so we need to make sure that we're doing everything we can to protect life.
We don't want to get into parsing
John,
the nuances.
John, may I interject for a second?
One sec. I just want
to.
I'll definitely let you add to this, but I just want to let our viewers. We're not going to debate the affirmative defense in this broadcast because that's one for a different day and what it means for doctors. But Elaine, just so we're clear, you think the law is good as it exists today and doesn't need any kind of amendment to it. Is that what we understand?
Correct. And now if there needs to be any sort of clarification, if we want to make sure that any doctors are, even though it has clearly been stated by our current state attorney general and the former state attorney general, they have both opined, and they're, the leading legal authority in our state, have said that affirmative defense is there for a reason. If I'm open to clarification for that if doctors have any sort of serious concerns. But this law was absolutely researched, well thought out, well written, and it was done with that intent in mind.
All right,
to allow
Mr.
the doctors.
Mr. Kaplan, I'm going to let you in. We've got to take a quick break, but I will let you have your say in response to that. Right after we come back, we'll bring you in the conversation.